here. Welcome to everyone. I am Julie Kipp. I'm the chair of the ISPS Executive Committee. And I think many of you may be members who are joining this webinar, so you already know about us. And if you are a member, the one thing you have to do in the next week is vote for our new executive committee. So look at your emails, find the email from isps@isps.org, and all you have to do is respond to that email. But for those of you who may be joining us that don't know about ISPS, we are the International Society for Psychological and Social Approaches to Psychosis. We're an organization that's been around for 70 years almost, started by two psychoanalysts in Switzerland who were unhappy with the current state of how people with psychosis were being treated. So we've been around for a long time, and the unique thing about ISPS in our development has been that I think we are the only organization that I know about that brings together professionals of all different kinds, psychiatrists, psychoanalysts, but social workers, physical therapists, nurses, plus family members and caregivers who have responsibility for taking care of people with psychosis, and the people themselves with the lived experience of psychosis. I think we're very unusual in that we combine these three groups. So I just want to, going on to our business today, this webinar, this will be, okay. This will be, we're here today for our webinar is The Others in Us and the Discovery of the Self, Multifamily Psychoanalysis, celebrating a book that has recently been translated into English. I will just briefly introduce the main presenters and our moderator. And just to let you know ahead of time, the chat today will be disabled. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A, and we hope to get to most of them toward the end of the webinar. So our speakers today are Dr. Andrea Naraki, who is working in the public services for psychiatry and dealing with psychiatric pathologies. He has used systemic and psychoanalytic psychotherapeutic techniques together with psychopharmacological treatment and rehabilitation, and used those from the early stages of people's clinical history for the treatment of serious mental illnesses. He has dedicated himself to the introduction and development in Italy of the Multifamily Psychoanalysis group, made up of many families, including the serious patients who are part of it and many operators. This is a way of working that involves not only psychiatrists and psychologists, psychotherapists, but also nurses, social workers, and psychiatric rehabilitation technicians. Our next speaker will be Maria Elisa Mitra, a psychologist and psychoanalyst in Argentina, full member in didactic function of the Argentine Psychoanalytic Association. She's a member of the International Psychoanalytic Association, honorary member of Laboratorio Italiano di Psychoanalisi Multifamiliare. I said that better when I practiced it. And she is the creator and director of the Ditum Day Center, a psychoanalytic therapeutic community of multifamily structure. She's worked as coordinator of multifamily groups with Jorge Garcia Badaraco from 1977 to 2010, contributed clinical cases to the book Psychoanalytic Therapeutic Community of Multifamily Structure by Garcia Badaraco, and he was her analyst and teacher. She is also the author of The Voices of Madness, True Stories from a Psychiatric Clinic in 2005, and The Voices of Silence, Why Patients Who Are Cured in 2016, both published by the editorial Sudamericano of Buenos Aires. Our third speaker is Martine Lambrecht. She's a psychologist, psychoanalytic therapist, and affiliated with the Belgian Society for Psychoanalysis. She's a practice supervisor attached to the postgraduate psychoanalytic psychotherapy of KU Leuven. She has a private practice near Leuven and works at a psychosis ward for young adults at the UPC KU Leuven in Kortenberg. There she co-founded a multifamily group in 2017. She was involved in the International Erasmus Plus project, Multifamily Therapy and Mental Health Care from 2021 to 2023. And lastly, I just want to introduce our moderator today, who is Filippo Mario Mascati, a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and psychoanalytic candidate at the Italian Psychoanalytic Society. After graduating with honors from Sapienza University, he integrated systemic and psychoanalytic approaches in his clinical work, focusing on adolescence and substance abuse disorders. He completed the foundation training in open dialogue in London and has practiced multifamily psychoanalysis for over 10 years. Currently teaches in the master's program in multifamily psychoanalysis at Laboratorio Italiano di Psychoanalisi Multifamiliare. Maybe that was a little better. He works with the Italian national system and actively contributes to the international psychoanalytic community through the International Psychoanalytic Studies Organization. So welcome again, everyone, and looking forward to hearing more about this modality. So Filippo, I turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Julie, and good evening, everyone. And for me, it's a real honor to moderate this evening's discussion, and because this event is not only an opportunity to share clinical knowledge, and you will see cross-cultural perspective on multifamily psychoanalysis, but it's also a moment of celebration because, as already said by Julie, tonight we mark the presentation for the first English translation of this foundational book from Jorge Garcia Badaraco. I will show you the cover of the book, and there you can see that there is also a code for discount if there will be someone interested in to buy it. And this is a way to make it more accessible, not for all the people that could be interested to deepen this approach. And this translation brings to the international stage the thinking of a pioneer who radically shifted our understanding of psychic suffering, because Badaraco taught us that mental illness is often not inside the person, not only inside one person, but in the bond, no? A bond that is could be too fused, too entangled, and especially between the parent and child. So when the bond prevents separation and growth, no, the clinical, both the child and the parent remain locked, no, in the roles that block development. So multifamily psychoanalytic groups provide a space to question these entanglements, and to do so not alone, but together with families, professionals, all kind of professional, as ISPS also promote, no, and patients, all engaging in a shared effort where emotion are rediscovered. It could be accessible because stories are examined, and the healing begins with the courage to ask new and often painful questions. Now, before I introduce our speakers, I must make a small confession. Tonight, I will play the role of the bad moderator. What does that mean? Simply that I will kindly ask each speaker, and contributor to respect their allotted time. So when you will have 2 minutes left, I'll give you a quick signal, okay? But that's just to ensure that everyone, including, of course, our audience, has the opportunity to speak and be heard. After all, this is the spirit of Multifamily Psychoanalytic Group, where we learn to share spaces, time, and thought with others. So let me introduce, I will close the sharing. Let me introduce, first of all, Dr. Andrea Neracci, that is already has been introduced. Then after him, Maria Elisa Mitre will be the second speaker, and third, Martin Lambrecht. After them, we will have four short intervention, brief reflection of people that participated the multifamily psychoanalytic groups, bringing us their unique and invaluable perspectives. So I'll let the speak to Andrea Neracci. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much to everyone for this evening and for this opportunity. We work from a lot of time in this way, and I'm going to read briefly a PowerPoint to give an idea of how it's working with multifamily psychoanalysis. The first thing is where is the mental pathology? The pathology, Garcia Badaraco said that it's not inside the person, but in the bond between two people, usually a parent and a child. The problem did not begin shortly before the onset of the crisis, but many years before, when the future patient and the parent most involved with him began to feel trapped in a bond, pathological and pathogenic interdependencies that did not allow them to grow. Psychoanalytical concept of symbiosis. Come va avanti? No, c'è la seconda. In the multifamily psychoanalytical group, we can discover.
I'm going. Sono avanti, Andrea. Non lo vedi tu? You can see that?
Adesso sì. In the multifamily psychoanalytical group, they can discover that the disease resides in the too close bond between the two, parent and child, and whose survival or downsizing depends on both. The consequence of a too close bond is the absence of boundaries between the two, which turns into the loss of the ability of one to recognize one's own things with respect to those of the other, and vice versa. Each of the participants during the group can manage to recover their own parts deposited in the others. If they're able to scale down the bond of interdependence, that exist between them, each of them will feel their own healthy virtuality. In order to grow, in relation to the need to grow, the child has gradually separated from the parent who has always communicated to him that he felt him as a part of him, and from whom, therefore, it was unthinkable to hypothesize that the future patient could distance himself to be himself. It is also necessary for the parent to initiate separation from the child if he wants to start growing up again. Otherwise, he will forever remain the parent of a sick or of a small child that is not very different. What is necessary to understand what is behind the patient's symptomatic manifestations? It is necessary, on one hand, to retrace the stages of the failed growth of the parent-patient relationship. On the other hand, that parent or parents ventures into rebuilding his or her relationships with his or her own parents. In what consists the start of a process of this type? The start of a process like this is the acquisition by its participant, including the operators, of the ability to ask themselves questions about what happened during the long time in which they have been generated incomprehensions between parents and children in every family. The reemergence of emotions, sometimes very intense, helps each participant in the difficult task of assuming a self-reflective position, psychotherapeutic process. How these groups are formed? They are formed by patients, parents, or other family members and operators, psychiatrists, psychologists, as conductors, nurse, social assistant, psychiatric rehabilitation technician, and educator as facilitators. Every family may be represented by every number of members. A group of 3 or 4 operators became conductors or facilitators, but every operator who is in service can participate. Group operating rules are 3. It is appropriate that each of those who participate speaks for himself and not for anyone else. Everyone is asked not to pretend to be right. Participants are invited to live with opinions different from their own. Everyone is asked to book to speak. Someone will take care of writing down the requests for intervention. Mechanisms at work in the group. The first is metaphorical mirroring. Every member of every family can see what happens between members of another family and can go back to what happens in his or her own family. It was if they had rediscovered their ability to depict their family situation, a skill they have never lost but had not used for a long time. Multiple transferences. Transference does not only manifest itself with conductors and facilitators, but also with the other participants in all possible directions. Parent with parent, parent of a family with son, daughter of another family, and vice versa, etc., etc. Consequences. These are 3. Suffering is closer. We are able to create a climate in which everyone feels it is possible to talk about the deepest emotions. Sharing the story of the suffering linked to the misunderstandings present in the stories of many families make collaboration between members of the same family or of different families and between operators easier. The more the group grows, the smaller the differences between patients, family members, and operator. This is difficult, but potentially very useful. And then multifamily psychoanalytical group affects 3 levels. At the first level, MFPG is useful for transforming the relationships between a parent and a child, in a family and in many families. The second level, multifamily psychoanalytical group can improve the relationship between families and operators. At the third level, multifamily psychoanalytical group can make relationships more functional between operator of the same service and operator of different services belonging to the same department. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. So we can pass the microphone to Maria Elisa Mitre. I think that you have to open the microphone.
You present myself. They know who am I?
Yes, yes. Julie already present yourself.
Well, I work for Veracruz nearly all my life in his clinic and community, and then in Hospital Borda for many years, and in the Asociación Psicoanalítica, Psychoanalytical Argentina. I have a day clinic that it's the continuation of the way of thinking and working. Well, I have little to add to the technical issues of coordinating multifamily psychoanalysis groups that Andrea just mentioned. I think this book proposes a central idea that has remained relevant for more than 50 years. All mental illness can be cured if the necessary conditions are met. Jorge Garcia Badaraco's brilliant creation of multifamily psychoanalysis highlighted the importance of intersubjectivity. Subjectivity is not possible between objects. Therefore, the others within us, to which the subtitle of this book refers, has to do with the maddening external others who end up as presences that drive us mad and prevent us from being ourselves. In these pages, Garcia Badaraco shows us that the central objective of multifamily psychoanalysis is the rescue of the true self, suffocating the sickening power of these presences so that it can achieve true autonomy. In the therapeutic process, there is an internal dialogue between the maddening presences that do not let us be, and the truer self that is trying to appear because it was suffocated by these maddening presences. One of the most significant factors of group is that those stories of others is how the stories of others and how they make us feel. We awaken experiences that we often suppress in our minds for fear of intolerable suffering. Perhaps for the first time, we can begin to share them in this climate of trust generated within the group. We can do so without fear of the consequences. Well, it's very important. Sometimes this is very important. So to think for coordinating the groups, that many times we get confused, or we do not realize that we are not speaking with a real person, with a real self, but sometimes we're speaking and fighting with a false self, that is an identification with the pathological and pathogenic defense mechanisms of the fathers. So if you are not aware there is a virtual potential person hidden between these identifications, that what they are asking is, please realize that I'm not crazy, to say it in that way, but we are suffering, and I want you to realize that what is happening to me, it's real suffering, but you never could understand. You thought I was crazy, and you couldn't do anything about it. So I came here to this group with everybody thinking that I was mad and I was suffering. And that is the real demand of the children to their parents. Please look at me, I'm suffering. Well, we must try not to have in the groups like a personal therapy between two people, but know that we're speaking to many people, to a drama. So a drama is, we think we're speaking with one people, we're speaking with the father inside, with the princesses, with the mother, with anybody. And well, it's very important not to get only in the groups speaking only with one person, because we are speaking with many people. Well, I don't know if I have to present Bernardit. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, it was very clear.
Well, I'm here with Bernardita. Bernardita has been in the groups for about 20 years. She had many, she's here.
Hi.
She has 3 daughters and a husband, and she tried all her life. Yeah, she came from an upper class family of 12 children, and she never felt that nobody knew her or looked really at her. And she tried she had some problems with her daughter. She heard her speaking with a little bird, and she realized that something was wrong. I'm speaking I'm speaking by habit. She doesn't speak English. Now she began to go to try many psychoanalysis, many sorts, and she never could speak. She had no words. She became mute. She didn't know what to say. And then she thought that everything that happened was because of her daughter. And suddenly, one day, she discovered, or she got insight, had an insight that she was not anymore the main character of the daughter was not anymore the main character of what was happening, that she was the main character, and she had to do really an effort to help her family. So somebody told her about the psychoanalysis of groups with Badaraco in Hospital Borda, and she came. And for the first time, Bernardita said that she felt that somebody, felt after listening to the stories of other people and sharing so many emotions, some very suffering emotions, and she began to feel and to find that most of the things had to do with herself, and she began the real process, therapeutic process there. And for the first time in her life, she began to have, in that climate of self-respect and listening to the respect for the vivencias, we call them emotional experience, we call it in Spanish vivencias, and the respect for the vivencias of the other, because many children told their parents, "Mother, I'm not feeling well. I feel that I'm suffering a lot. I want to kill myself." And the parents answered, "No, nothing of that can happen to you. You have everything." Well, that it's not a respect for the other's vivid experience, emotional. So, well, Bernardita began to speak, to have her process. She had left her family, this enormous family, and well, and began with this another therapeutic process where she could speak, her daughter could speak, her husband could speak. They had terrible fights, and then she realized that the fights and the violence were about identification with the violence of her family. So when we began to rescue the true self, Bernardita's true self, and leaving the identifications, the central objective of multifamily psychoanalysis is the rescue of the true self, suffocating the sickening power of these presences so it can be achieved through autonomy.
Really, sorry to interrupt you, but since the time you allocated is nearly finished, and Bernardita should be the next after Martin Lambrechts. If you agree, we can give the microphone to Martin Lambrechts, and then we can go back to the history of Bernardita. That it's very, very interesting for all of us, if you agree.
All right, Filippo.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Martin. Sorry.
Yes. Good evening. In this short presentation, I will discuss. Wait, I have to share my screen first. Up. Yes, there we are. So in this short presentation, I will discuss the unique nature of multifamily psychoanalysis, specifically how a multi-generational transference field is created in a multifamily group. My reflections are rooted in the multifamily group at the department where I work. This is a department for young adults with the psychosis vulnerability located in a university psychiatric center near to Brussels in Belgium. It's a residential department, which means that the young adults stay with us for a period of several months to a year. Young adulthood between the ages of 18 and 30 with the accompanying separation processes means that our patients often experiment with standing on their own 2 feet between study and work, between home and independent living. Admission and the distance this creates from home can have many different meanings. For some, it's the first time away from home. Others have been living alone or with a partner for some times. Students have a rhythm of living in a student accommodation during the week and going home at the weekend. Psychologically, they are often deeply affected by the psychotic experience and are searching for ways to understand this crisis. As a therapeutic team, we broaden the psychotic phenomena as attempts to give form and meaning to experiences that are too painful and too difficult to bear. In doing so, it's important to also be aware of what the youngster unconsciously carries with him from their family. At the ward, the daily life in a group and the therapeutic program offer them a framework to make their personal experiences accessible. The family group is a place on the border between the inside and the outside, where the therapeutic spirit of the department can be felt by family members and where young adults can broaden their family horizons. The group meets every 2 weeks at a location nearby but not at the department. It's an open group, which means that everyone is welcome to come or not to come. To ensure the safety of the group, we ask everyone to talk about themselves and not about absent family members. What motivates someone to come to the group? We have noticed that it's not an obvious place to come to. The threshold to come is high. Children want to spare their parents extra effort, and it's not easy for parents to talk about themselves and painful events within the family in a group of other families. Because while we as therapists hopefully assume that the pathology lies within the bound in the relationship, as Andrea just pointed out, which leads us to believe that a family can feel actively involved in working through the misunderstood difficulties, this relational embedding often translates into feelings of guilt, shame, and fear for parents. We explain to families that the group can be a place to meet other parents, other children, other brothers and sisters who have similar experiences in a completely different way. That the group can offer contact with fellow sufferers, but can also broaden their perspective or help them to better understand certain tensions. That the group is an important meeting place where psychiatry is stripped of its stigma, and we find common ground in what we have all in common. We are all children of brothers of sisters. We are all part of a form of family. Bringing families together creates a special phenomenon, a multi-generational transfer field. In the group, words travel from here to there, stories, thoughts, and questions become associatively interwoven. Unconsciously, mirrors are held up. Unique to the family group is the presence of 2 or more generations, which creates a specific dynamic. What often starts as us and them, parents and children, flows into a conversation about the personal journeys of both children and parents. In what will follow, I will give a brief clinical illustration of how a family group can proceed and how the family generational transfer field is created. A boy who just has been admitted comes to the group for the first time with his parents. While the boy is seated in between, wait, I have this. Yes, while the boy, he is here, it's the son. So while the boy is seated in between his parents with a closed expression, his parents look around restlessly. The mother indicates that they have come to the group because they are very concerned about their son. The admission follows a long period of conflict and tension at home, with their son exhibiting behavior that is difficult to understand and even dangerous. The admission gives the parents a breath, allowing them some space to recover. But the slightest relapse on the part of their child causes their fears and concerns to return. It is difficult for them to trust their son again. Their son says nothing. Another boy indicates that he finds his parents' concern difficult to deal with. He then experiences how his condition makes his father unhappy. He doesn't mind feeling bad for himself, but he finds the idea that his condition also makes others feel bad very difficult. As a result, he hides how bad he feels because he doesn't want to make his father more worried. Moreover, he is ashamed that he cannot be the son of his father to be proud of. His father, who is also present in the group, finds it difficult to hear this from his son. The father appears tense. He is very expressive and moves his whole body as he speaks. As a father, he has focused on openness and trust in the relationship with his children. He himself had an Otarian father. As soon as he could, at the age of 18, he set off into the wild world, did his own thing, and felt free. When, a few years later, he came under pressure as a young father, he noticed that he could become angry quickly and intensively, just like his own father. Over the years, he has tried to deal with this inner turmoil because he wants his son to feel safe with him, to know that he is there for him. He noticed that his son is distancing himself to spare him, but that has the opposite effect. It makes him even more worried. At times as these, he doesn't know what to do with himself. Silence. Another mother says that she tries to trust the team of professionals in what is happening in the department, even though she doesn't really know what is happening because her daughter has not spoken to her for months. She knows that the team is primarily concerned with the relationship of trust with her daughter, but it's difficult to deal with this radio silence. Yet another mother recognizes the father's concern. She says that she has been terrified since the birth of their daughter. Their daughter was born prematurely and spent the first months in an incubator. She was so afraid of losing her baby that she was cautious and reserved in her love for her daughter during these first months. She wonders if her daughters may have sensed these fears. The daughter gets angry and says firmly, "Mom, I'm alive now. Trust me." The tension in the group rises. We feel this tension between mother and daughter that is not immediate apparent or can be put into words. Another boy says that he would like to experience parental concern as warmth. His parents do not understand why he has been admitted, with what he struggles. They only criticize him. He comes to the group to hear what other parents are like. Silence. A sister says that she wants to be there for her brother, but that she's also afraid of what will happen when her parents are no longer there. Who will take care of her brother then? Will she have to do it? At times, she gets so angry with her brother. She thinks that he should accept that he is ill and that he will always need help. A mother who listens quietly has placed her hand on the leg of her son sitting next to her during the session. They whisper to each other occasionally, and she fiddles with his jumper. She is asked what is going through her mind. She immediately blushes and starts to cry. She explains how, as the daughter of a psychotic father, she has learned to distance herself, to avoid conflict and to hide herself away. She is so afraid that her son will go through a similar process. She doesn't want to lose her son. The son says, but I'm not like Grandpa, am I? The session continues. In a multifamily group, words, tensions, silences, and body language circulate. Gradually, a theme emerges in the group with which everyone becomes emotionally connected in a personal way. This experience of vivencia is a powerful one. It cannot be determined or recorded in advance. It arises in the urgency of the moment and ensures that everyone feels connected in one way or another. For us, the power and added value of the multifamily psychoanalysis lies in these shared moments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So following these 3 short lectures, we will hear 4 brief reflections, each lasting 5 minutes, more or less, from participants bringing unique and invaluable perspectives. So first of all, should speak Bernardita Paz from Argentina that Marilisa already introduced. Then will be Mario Palmonella from Italy, sharing his lived experience as a participant. Saskia Verbessel from Belgium, co-facilitator in a multifamily group, and Rudy van Bovel, psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, who will offer reflection as a professional working with psychosis. Please. Bernardita. Marilisa, if Bernardita want to share with us her experience.
Yes, you want me to, Jamala? Yes, you want to ask questions to Bernardita? Paolo?
If she wants to share with us her experience in the group, because you already told us the part of the...
I prefer to answer instead of Bernardita because Bernardita doesn't speak English and she's very embarrassed. So, but I've been with her all these years and I know all about her therapeutic process, how her daughter got cured. She had a diagnosis of schizophrenia, and all the family are like now like psychoanalysts coordinating and helping in the groups as if they were doctors. Yes. I want to say only one thing to Andrea, that I congratulate, forgot to say that I congratulate Andrea and his son, Federico, that could translate this book finally, that it's so important for all the society. And well, congratulations, Andrea and Federico. And I'm so happy that we could do this. I'm so happy. And I want to say only one thing, only one thing that it's important. It's about Baracos motto. Wisdom consists in being able to tolerate what the other person says, even when we believe it to be incorrect. Nothing else.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we can wait for questions after the other brief reflections. Okay. So we will involve Bernardita through you with some questions. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Marilisa.
Okay.
Mario.
Good morning or good evening to everyone. My name is Mario Palmonella. I am an architect, and 5 years ago, I showed my fragility to dependence from alcohol. This fragility came from a trauma, personal trauma that I had,
Editor is here.
and this trauma arrived directly in my life. And to go out, I go to the Italian public service. They helped me before with therapy, and after when a period I was not completely, but a little bit out of the dependency, so my fragility was passed over. They helped me with the multilateral family group, and for me, it's a great experience because in the therapy multilateral group, familiar group, I found better the reason what was my problem, and exactly was the difference between in the period of my life what is the due, the rights, and the rule. And I understood that in my family that was more important the due, what you need to do for the others, what you need to do for the family, and I never catch what was the right also that for myself in my life. And I understood that we have rule that can be, and this is the experience that I had in the multilateral family in the space, especially for the recovery of the dependency, that the rule can help the due and the rights of the person. What is the real things? That in this group you can share experience that can come from the past, from the present, and from the future. And for this experience, all the time, there is not only your angle or your eyes, but is directly discussion with other group of family member, and also with the coordinator and the people that support. Meaning that, in my opinion, what I live, this type of group is a mirror temporary community, where the first rule is transfer your experience and acceptance of who you are and why you are there, and what is the emotion that can create and the drama that are created for this type of dependent. I completely catch that my problem, and this is thanks to the great capability of this group, that in my experience, my dependents bored, continue to live, and I was able to kill this part for my first relational experience. I go shortly. What is the real advantage for what I live and what I saw, not only about me? Because there is not only people that have alcohol dependency, there is also drugs dependent. And I saw 5 points very important. To reduce the isolation of the family whole, because when you sit down and discuss, you see that there is a lot of solidarity. To improving the relationship, not only between the family member, but with the mirror temporary community. To see that if someone go out from the dependency is a great and real promoting of the change. This can create a very interesting increase of self-esteem that can give to not people with my age, that I have a lot of experience, but with the youngest, that have in conflict with the family, the possibility to be more accepted without afraidness, and to see that there is a real problem that could come from their first relation, but they can have an openness to go out in complete transparency. This is my experience. Thank you very much for that you dedicate this possibility of witness to me, and thanks to the team, Italian team, that helped me a lot and give to me the possibility to go out fast from my bad experience.
Thank you very much, Mario, for this so personal and engaging reflection. Thank you very much a lot. And it allows me also to remember that this kind of groups are not only a tool, but it's an approach. So could be used in psychiatric course, in mental health center, in addiction center, in community, in every place where the mental health is helped. So it's very important for me that you shared your personal experience. Now, Saskia, it's your turn, please.
Yes, good evening all. I'm Saskia. I am a psychiatric nurse at the ward where Martin works, and we are doing the multifamily group together since 2018. So I have a small reflection, or more a question, I think. So a multifamily group is guided by a family of conductors. We co-conduct a group with colleagues with different professional backgrounds. And I'm a nurse. I find that I take a different approach than my colleagues who are psychologists or psychiatrists. What are your thoughts on the multidisciplinarity within the family of conductors, and in particular on the specific strengths or challenges of a psychiatric nurse? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we can give more time to Ludi. Thank you, Saskia.
Yes, thank you. Thank you also for the other reflections. I'm a psychiatrist, and I worked in a hospital where a multifamily therapy approach and also open dialogue started almost similarly. And I was very curious to hear the differences, because I mentioned when Andrea talked that there are a lot of similarities. You explained the 3 rules, that every member of the group speaks in his own name, he speaks for himself. And secondly, every member of the group listens to the other without judgment. There is no wrong and no right. And then finally, the operator also is engaged in a very authentically way. And the same things I also hear people who are working in open dialogue. But still there are differences. And I'm happy to see also on the screen, on the Q&A, that there is the same question that I had. What are the differences? And especially perhaps they can work together. That in a big mental hospital, that open dialogue and also multifamily approach, as you explain, I think that's a good combination, and I'm very curious to hear about it. So that's my small reflection.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we have sometimes, so we can, if there our audience have other questions or curiosities, be important for us to hear them. I would like just to add a little reflection about these differences between open dialogue and multifamily psychoanalytic group, because from my point of view, from my training, because I've done both, there are a few similarities, of course, and could be from my point of view, they could be integrated. The difference is that the main difference from my point of view is that the open dialogue is focused on one situation, no, one family or one network for one people that in the moment it's in crisis. And that's very useful to wide the point of view and to listen in a dialogical way from that experience. The multifamily psychoanalytic group it could be helpful for a lot of people altogether, a lot of families altogether. We in Rome we have groups from 20 to 40 to 50. We've done one lately of 200, for example, people altogether. No, there are in a special occasion putting together different groups. So it's a possible of be a large group, and so it could be helpful for a lot of people altogether. One other main differences is that the multifamily psychoanalytic group it came from psychoanalysis. So he has the theory, he has the of course there is a change, a shift, as I said in the model, no, a shift in the thoughts, psychoanalytic thoughts, and there's no a specific approach, but it came from there, also mixing systemic approach. The open dialogue came from more systemic approach and with the dialogical of Buber and there is so other but is less focused from my experience, from my point of view, in developing hypothesis of the pathology, no, of the main of the mental health illnesses. From the respect to the multifamily psychoanalytic group, because Andrea Racci explained us how is the ideas, no, and the ideas and the theoretical ideas under the multifamily psychoanalytic approach. So that's another main difference from my point of view, but could be two very well integrated, and both could be used for the acute moment, more maybe the open dialogue, it's not more helpful, but also the multifamily group could be used in the acute moment we have in the wards. So maybe people in warded for a week or two, for example, who join a group there and then follow groups in the mental health center near home. So they could access for the first time the experience there. And also now it's helpful to shift from a diagnosis center in one person point of view, and shift there from a more bond point of view, problem on the bond point of view, as Andrea told us. Of course, I would like to hear also from others what they think about that. And from my point of view, I would like also to ask to all of you, a general question, no? Because changes in the group seems to emerge not only from what is said, no, because all of your reflections more or less say that. But the change it came from what is felt, not vivencias, as Martin told us. So felt between people. So I would like to ask you all if you could share an experience, an example of how an emotional shift in the bond happened in the group. So because this is more than interpretations. No, it's not a typical interpretation, of psychoanalytic interpretation that is what helped in the group to lead to this transformation, but it's more something that happens from an affective point of view, from an emotional point of view. Maria Elisa, please.
Yes, I think that that question is very important because we don't work with interpretations, because interpretations we work if we work with only with interpretations, we're working with certainties, and that is not the object of the multifamily group. We work with hypotheses. For example, we say, somebody says, I'm terrified, I don't know why. So we answer, well, maybe one can be terrified, for example, if you had problems with your parents, or you had violent problems, or you have well, if you had many therapeutic experiences that made you terrified or of people, or well, all that. I'm not saying that. So you said, or maybe you say that, then you can say, or maybe you're terrified because that. So you open many hypotheses of what can happen if one is terrified of others, and we cannot confront, or we cannot defend ourselves from the others. So if you had so many options, many of the people in the groups can pick one, or go home, and then they say, oh well, the one that when they said that my father, or well, you understand what I'm saying? You don't say what is happening to you, maybe it's because, no. You say many things happen if you are terrified. This could happen, and this could happen. But I never worked with interpretations. Interpretations make disappear the emotions from which are fundamental for the therapeutic process. When we can share emotions, is that we are much better. So interpretations suffocate emotions. That's what we think, and we work always with that. Am I clear?
Yes. Thank you very much. Maybe Andrea wants to say something.
Yes.
Please.
I think that the difference is if you put attention on unconscious or not. I think that open dialogue works more on language, on what happens today in the crisis. This is very important, I think. I think it's very important if we are able to think to crisis not only of the patient, but of the context of the system in which the patient lives. But I think that on multifamily groups, there is also the story of the family, the story of the meanings through generations, of what happens through generation. I think that madness is not only of one generation, only of the patient. The problem is also in the generation before, and sometimes also before, because unconscious and unconscious problems pass from a generation to another, like psychoanalysis and moreover neurosciences say today. I think that we must think back to the first Freud, who spoke about real trauma and mourning, and to the split as defense mechanism, and not to repression and trauma and non-elaborated mourning in fantasies, like after 1892, 95. I think that in multifamily group, it's possible to recover the story of families and the story of madness, and how everyone may have been not understood from another. So it's a problem, I think, cultural. As said Mario, it is a place in which everyone can speak how he sees the situation. And this is also the answer to the first question. They say that how is possible that everyone who participate became on a psychotherapeutic position. I think that because the technicians doesn't take delegation and says that everyone must begin to try to find in himself what happened. So I think that a lot of things depends on what is the impostazione, come si dice, the way in which someone enter in a group. Garcia Badaraco said that when we are before going to the group, that now we are going to learn. And not that he learned before what to do, but it was the group who learned to him and to the others. Thank you.
Please, man. Okay.
Yes, I only wanted to add some things, a particularity I think about the group is also about maybe in difference with open dialogue is that in the group we have these two generations, but not there are parents that are there without their children and children without their parents, and so we create a kind of in between where conflicts and tensions sometimes are too difficult to address in families. And so in the family group, we create a kind of in-between space, a gray zone, where parents can meet the other generation, and the inverse, that young people hear other parents, other brothers and sisters talk about similar things about them. And so it's really expanding the dynamics in a family in a very indirect way, because like Maria says, we don't do interpretation, so we ask questions and people come to speak about their emotions, and sometimes people come without their parents in the beginning, and then we work towards that the parents can be invited in the group or the inverse. And so it's beautiful how sometimes the group carries this process also of bring your mother, or maybe she can say something about this, and then yeah, it's an intermediary space.
Perhaps we could ask a question from the Q&A from the audience. Um, Manuel Lopez asked Andrea how the self-reflective position or the psychotherapeutic process is created in the group. And maybe you all have been starting to address this anyway, but yeah, how is that atmosphere created in the group?
I think that atmosphere is created sharing emotions, trying to say what everyone feels in that moment. And this changes the situation. And you can have a group also if there is a lot of people. And I think that is very important, the position of the therapist. If the therapist thinks to know what is the need of the patient or the parent or anyone else, is a way. If you don't know this and you leave everyone trying to find, to think what happens to him, and say that everyone has to think, to speak about himself and not for another, not to pretend to have reason, and hear what the other says. Because in the psychotic situations, what happens is that anyone hears the other. The first thing I remember for me was to hear again and to say that it was very important, try to hear what the other says. Maria Elisa.
Maria Elisa, please. You have to open the microphone, Maria Elisa.
Sorry. Well, I want to speak about two very important things that I think I missed saying. It's about the body language and the importance of creating a safe bond between patients and psychoanalysts. For example, the first time the psychotic patient or the difficult patients do not understand the words, cannot understand, they don't have enough resources for representations, and understand more how we look at them, that what we say, what we are saying, it's very much, these people have been bad treated and shouted and born and developed in terrible climates, violent climates. So it's much more important the way we speak to them than what we are saying at the first moment of the therapeutic process, and how we look at them, and the tone, the voice, the way we speak to them, that it's very important for the patients, because they are just children. They need to make a redevelopment of the growth with someone with new experiences. No, much more how we speak to them, how we our genuine interest in them. Well, all that. It's fundamental.
Thank you.
There are
Julie, do you want to?
Yes, there are
Exactly.
also some other questions here in the Q&A.
Mhm.
I think that not every question can be managed now, but perhaps a question of Leif Murray Wanau, who says, thank you everyone for sharing your wisdom and insights on this important approach. Are evaluation measures used to determine the effectiveness of this approach for the families and the person experiencing distress? That's the question of this person.
Ho perso qualcosa?
Ci sono studi in merito all'efficacia.
Frontiers. Frontiers publicated a study
Yeah.
Of 6 made of the observation of 6 mental health centers in Rome for 4 years. And it's a publication on Frontiers. I was trying to find it, but for me it's difficult to find it and speak together.
Is it in English or is it in Italian?
Is
it written in
difficile
English?
per me cercarla in questo momento mentre stiamo...
I'll try.
Però...
I know it's in English.
It's in English, okay.
It's difficult for me to do the two things together. So perhaps Filippo is going to find the publication on Frontiers. It's a study of more than, I don't remember if 4 or 5 years, of 6 mental health centers in Rome, in which there were more than 300 or 400 people for all that time. The idea is to construct a community at work in which there are patients, parents or familiars, and operators, every type of operator. I think it is very important as Saskia is with us this evening. This morning, I work in a therapeutic community in which there are only, in this moment, every time that I go there, I saw only, like Saskia, come si dice, infermieri, nurses. So this way of working is working with multifamily group is possible to collaborate to different professionists. So psychiatry, psychologists, but also nurses, social assistant, rehabilitation therapy workers. So everyone who works in the mental health may work together with the other, because every operator is called to speak also about him, not also in the group, but more in the group after, in the reunion, after the group, the Ateneo, in which operators may speak about different states of the families and of the patients, but also they can speak about how everyone stays, how everyone is living in the group. And he talked again to what happens in his life. I think that the group is very heavy, as potente, come si dice?
Powerful.
Powerful. And you can continuously think to your life without going again in analysis, but always working on your way of thinking to life. This is very important for the position of the operator. This corresponds to idea that when we go to the group, we are going to learn and to understand from the group which is the problem, I think. I don't know if I was clear.
Thank you. For me, it's clear.
Someone has put in the question and answer, I don't know if everyone can see it, a paper on which you are one of the co-authors, Andrea, implementation of psychodynamic multifamily groups for severe mental illness in community mental health services in Rome from
Yeah.
Psychiatry 2021.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Lupo, in the audience.
Lupo is, yes.
Mhm.
Thank you, Lupo.
Ciao Lupo. I
Ciao,
found it, but
Lupo.
Lupo is an old friend and a very one of the main contributors to groups, and also open dialogue approaches in Rome.
Wow.
Perhaps some of these books are some of these references to articles are probably in the references in your book, Andrea. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a question about the body.
Yes, I would.
I think that drugs are useful, every type of drug used in psychiatry, but it's symptomatic. It's not therapeutic. So we must begin, we must use drugs in a low, in a correct way, but then try to understand better how is the situation. If there are some relationship problematic, and try to work on this symbiosis. If the symbiosis a little stop, everyone can find something much more of himself, the true self, I say Maria Elisa, or something very important that are in the people and the people are not able to see. I think that in the last years happens a lot of authors developed in psychoanalysis many of the hypotheses of Garcia Badaracco. I think, for example, to Philip Bromberg, and now to Alan Shore. 30 years ago, in conscious, anyone knows what it was, and now we know where it is. That emotions are more important than anything else in the first month, and then in the first year of life. That the relationship with the caregiver is fundamental, and that the psychotherapeuta has to work with right hemisphere, with the right hemisphere of the patient. Mass syntonizations, and not interpretation. Interpretation is of the other hemisphere. So I think that this is very interesting, because Garcia Badaracco said this 25 years ago, only with his observation of the clinic. His first observation was that when he saw patients and parents together, one seemed the other. Was the caricatura. And so he talked to identification. He wrote identifications and their vicissitudes, the importance of the object that, come si dice, fa impazzire l'altro.
Drive the other crazy. Drive the other crazy.
Well,
Today, it's a revolution in that moment, 1985. The object that was only object of projection became a subject. And this is a completely change of psychoanalytical observation.
Ferenczi.
Yes,
And
when he discovered Ferenczi, he saw that Ferenczi talked a lot of things like him. This is very important. He was one of the first in the world. Maria Elisa says a very important thing. Say, Maria Elisa.
Marisa, if you want to add something.
Mi sa che non c'ha la linea. È fermata.
the importance of identifications when you're speaking. Sometimes you are fighting with somebody in the group, but with identifications. So so it's very we have to protect as co-therapists the psychologist that is fighting, that is trapped with the identification and not with the real self. And well, that's the issue. When you asked how does the real self appear, well, when you open, when the most spontaneous, you have to return or regress to where spontaneity was suffocated by parents. And when we begin to be spontaneous and say thank you and change our way of looking at the other and being grateful, well, that's when we have to say, well, she is appearing, the real self is appearance. Well, nothing more. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think that we are running out of time. So we need to close this evening. I'd like to thank you, all of you, for your intervention, for your contributions, and in the unique position for me has been very rich and evening. So I give the microphone the last time to Julie to the final conclusion. Thank you.
Great. Okay. And maybe you would want to put the book, the picture of the book
Yeah.
up again now. And yeah, I also just want to say thank you so much to all the presenters and all the participants in the audience, most of whom are still here through the whole webinar, which is always a good sign. And I just found this so inspiring, I have to say, as someone who did a multifamily group in the Bronx in New York for many years. And that was based on a psychoeducational model that was around at that time. And I'm just impressed that although a group comes together under various modalities or whatever. Yours are, in your countries, you're embracing the psychoanalytic model as a starting point. In the US, it would be more common to do some kind of short-term, usually short-term psychoeducational model. But I just remember my group, which continued. It didn't stay short-term. We continued for several years. And some of these concepts, like everyone should speak for themselves, which is hard for people in the beginning, but that's if people try to learn to do that, to speak for themselves, not for other people. That the purpose of the group is everyone to help each other, not just the patient is the sick one and everyone else is the well ones. And also in a group like that, as I think you all are saying, it's rather non-hierarchical, isn't it? The psychiatrist or the nurse, the father, the son, it all have an important contribution to make, and all the contributions are so valuable, and the father's contribution might be a lot more valuable than the psychiatrist sometimes. But those kind of things seem to come up in groups wherever they started, my psychoeducational group or your psychoanalytic groups. So I'm just feeling very inspired, and I really miss my work that I used to do in the Bronx, having retired now as a social worker. And I'm really looking forward to reading the book, and just thank you very much for such a inspiring and in-depth webinar. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, and thank you all, everyone, every contributor and speaker, and also the audience. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, thank you.